Hey, what's up, my little chicklets? Good morning. How are we doing? Anybody else have a hard time waking up this morning? That was me. I woke up, checked my phone, checked Twitter to see what the status was, and SpaceX tweeted, "Oh, we're delaying it a couple hours." It was like they might as well have said, "School has been delayed." We got a 2 hour delay. It was amazing, and I appreciate that, SpaceX. Thank you so much for doing that. What's up, guys? I'm Kevin. All right, if you didn't know that, if you're new to the channel, welcome. This is my fam. You're all my fam. Let me get situated really quick. There we go. What's up? Where are you guys from? And more importantly, what you munching on? Tell me what your munchies are. Come on, where are you from? What you munching on? We got Scotland, Wales. Hello from the Cape. Well, hello. You should be outside right now. How's the weather looking? I hope it's not too overcast. All right, I told somebody yesterday, one of my patrons, I was like, I'd rather them cancel it than launch during overcast because we all want to see it. Deutschland, France, Hungary. I'm hungry. I haven't had breakfast. Ugh. New York, Greece, Athens. Okay, Athens, Greece, England, Belgium, Argentina, Scotland, Chicago again. What's up, guys? Canada, sweet. Jordan, cool. Turkey, turkey. Yeah, give me your snacks too. You're from Sweden and you're not eating Swedish fish? I think that's treason. Treachery. What's going on, guys? Colorado. Oh, thanks for joining. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Guess what? SpaceX should be starting their live stream in like less than 10 minutes. They've armed the rocket. They're about to start propellant loading if they haven't done so already. So it looks like this is going to happen, guys. So pumped. We've been waiting for this for years. At least I have, for years. So it's exciting. You know what else is exciting? Yes, or not yesterday. Today's Sunday, right? Oh, this weekend just went so fast. 2 days ago, Friday, the 17th, was my derp day. Happy derp day to me. And this is what my wife made me. She makes me a cake every year. If you don't follow me on Twitter or Instagram, isn't that sweet? She's so talented when she wants to be. She's such a creative person. I'm proud of her. Yeah, I thought that was very nice of her. I thought I'd share that with you guys. Aaron Brand, welcome. Thank you for joining up as an eccentric member. Yippee. Thanks, bud. Lonnie Holcomb. Finally, yes. Finally, we have arrived, and I am here. Kevin Tran, thanks, buddy. How's it going? It's going pretty sweet. For being 10 o'clock in the morning, I'm pretty wide awake, even though I've been up for a few hours. I'm not a morning person. I've never had a cup of coffee in my life, so yeah, I'm always slow to get up. I think the reason I've never had a cup of coffee is because my dad drank it black like a fiend, and so I never thought I'd try it. I'd take a mimosa any day though. The creators, God, I don't know how I can see that. It's not showing up for me. Thank you, creators. When it starts scrolling up, I'll be able to read it. I don't know why it's been doing that lately. It must be a YouTube update glitch thing. But thanks, creators. There we go. Nomming a honey and whipped peanut butter sandwich. Dude, you're from Canada. It's like 10 o'clock where you're at too. What are you eating that for so early? I'm proud of you. All right. So we're going to keep an eye on SpaceX's live feed. So let me bring this down in the corner here. Okay. There we go. Now move over so it doesn't cover up my ugly mug. All right. So let's get into what we're all here for. Yeah, now that I made that transition, I got to transition to this. Okay, so if you head on over to spacex.com/webcast, you'll be able to check out the video that we're all going to be watching, their live stream. And they also have a press kit that we'll take a look at. So yes, this launch has been delayed a couple days. But that's okay, because of weather, mostly on the recovery efforts. They need decent weather for that. You don't want to recover a capsule on choppy seas, get everyone seasick now, do you? So they should be launching this thing about 10:30. You click on the press kit, which I think I already done. Yes, I did. Okay. And there's some interesting information in this, so we'll go over really quick. Down here at the bottom, it gives you a timeline, and we're about 25 minutes out, so that means they should have already begun liquid oxygen propellant loading. Okay. I need to stop saying that. Crew Dragon launch. Or in-flight abort, whatever you want to call it. Let me catch up here on these super chats. Thank you, guys. Czech Republic. Thank you so much. I'm going to nail this name. Jairi Solk. Nailed it. Night Fox, again, I can't see the last super chat for some reason. So once another one happens, I'll be able to read yours too. Okay, dang it. I need to get like 3 monitors. This 2-monitor thing is nice, but it's not good enough. So yes, this is happening at Launch Complex 39A, the one where they used to launch the Apollo capsule, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. Also, the space shuttle, and it's where SpaceX launches their Falcon Heavy, and where they will launch Starship in the future there on the East Coast. They've also already retracted their big swinging arm, so that's good, because the way it's going to happen with Crew Dragon is they're going to load people up on it, and then they're going to load the propellant, which is something NASA doesn't like to do because loading propellant is dangerous. But that's why we have pad abort tests and flight abort tests and all that good stuff. So they did change it to a 6-hour window. It originally was 4, so they did extend it. That doesn't really come into play anymore, though. Over 700 tests of this capsule so far in its Super Draco engines. That's cray-cray, man. It's cray-cray. They did do an emergency launch pad abort in May of 2015. It feels like forever ago. Let me check on this really quick. Okay, let's watch this pad abort test right quick, yeah? Okay.
6.
So this was the pad abort test in 2015.
4, 3.
So
2,
sexy.
1. Launch.
Ah, my lobes. Sorry. Oh, I forgot to turn down my mix amp.
Right now.
So this is basically what we'll see after the separation today.
Nominal. We're over 1 kilometer.
This is the best part.
Trunk deploy.
Parachutes.
Drugs look good. Sequencing the mains.
To be honest, I am looking forward more to
600 meters.
what happens to the booster after separation than I am parachutes. I know it's a cardinal sin where I come from.
Downrange distance.
Yeah. And then they refoam, then they unfurl them. That's cool. That's good. Okay. So I'll show you this one too. So this is back during the Apollo days. This is what's going to happen today. Only obviously there won't be a launch escape tower. This is their Little Joe rocket that they used to test their launch escape system back in the 60s. I think this was, yeah, it would have been 60s. I was thinking 50s maybe for a minute. So what happened is they hooked up the roll gyros wrong on this booster, and it broke apart on accident, even though they meant to test this launch escape system. So it all worked out. So yeah, it's pretty cool, right? So that's kind of what we can expect to see today, only the booster may not break up like it just showed there, because again, they hooked up the roll gyros wrong. So that was more forces than what should have been. Anything else I should add from this? Nah, I think we're okay. They'll probably talk a lot about this later. So let's just pull this up now that they got this started. And we'll put this down in the lower part of the screen. There we go. Okay. So yeah, the second stage will be filled with propellant, but it will not have a second stage engine from what I've researched. And there won't be landing legs on the booster or grid fins. All right. They don't need them. If this thing lands, it's not going to be pretty. Okay. Everyone's expecting the booster to break apart as soon as they have the separation of the Crew Dragon in its trunk, because it will happen during max Q, which is when the speed of the rocket meets the a dense part of the atmosphere, not the densest, because the densest part is the lower you go, and it will be, several thousand or meters up or whatever. So it's when the density of the atmosphere equates to the most pressure with the speed of the rocket. And as soon as that trunk leaves and that capsule leaves, you no longer have that aerodynamic advantage. So that all that pressure is going to hit that second stage like a brick wall. And, there's a funnel in that second stage. So kind of like the inner stage, maybe not as extreme. But yeah, it's just going to shred this thing apart, most likely. All right. I mean, if I had any money, I would bet that it would. Oh, for those of you that are patrons, I'm also keeping an eye, as usual, on Discord under the Patreon discussion section. Tuba Man's there. I'm excited that this is finally happening. I had waffles this morning, just in case you were wondering. Well, I was wondering. Thank you. I'm living vicariously through you guys because I'm too lazy for breakfast or lunch or wherever you're from. I'm too lazy to eat sometimes. Okay. Waffles. That's right. Night Fox. Watching you and Tim Dodd at the same time. Yeah, I saw Tim Dodd has quite the setup going on down there in Florida right now. Dude, I don't know if he purchased it or rented the equipment, but he's got like a tracking camera. Dude, he's going all out. I'm very proud of him. I'm impressed. I'd definitely be watching his stream right now if I wasn't here hanging out with you guys, but I'm glad I'm hanging out with you guys. David Weschengard, life is most important and life is, oh, you said, okay. Life is most important. Okay. I gotta make sure I'm getting this. Life is most important in life is the most important truth in life. Hit like, show your support. I 100% agree with that. I think life is important and important is life. Eric Gustafson, thank you, bud. Thanks for all you do. What's your favorite rocket other than SpaceX rockets? Definitely the Saturn V, bro. You can probably barely see it over here, the tail end, the Lego Saturn V. Oh, I love that rocket so much. Until SpaceX came along with the Falcon Heavy. Well, actually, until SpaceX came along with the Falcon 9 that could land itself, the Saturn V was my favy. It still is. Like, it's still the most powerful rocket ever successfully flown. Okay. Just an amazing feat of engineering. Back during the good old days. John Topford, thanks, buddy. Robert Lenz, thank you. Again, if you're the last super chat, I don't know what's going on. I have to wait for this thing to, there we go, for something to happen so I can read what you wrote. Hey, Kevin, great to see you live stream another launch. Much love from the Netherlands. Let's see this rocket go boom, guy. Yes. Again, I love parachutes. We all know that by now. But if I had to choose one or the other, I'd definitely go with seeing what happens to this booster. It's going to be very exciting. We got a new member, Curtis Ruddock. Thanks for joining the fam. Okay. Whoop, something's happening. I want to watch a lot of this, guys, so let's... All right, it's just music right now. Okay, let me transition. Okay. I'm going to be watching and listening to hear what they say for this one, because this is a very special launch. Okay, it's a very special launch. Okay. And I'm really curious to hear what they have to say about it. So if you're here for my commentary today, I'll give you some of that, but I'm definitely going to be watching a lot of it. The Great Potato. The Great Potato, I love it. I love explosions. I love lamp. Name that movie. Here we go. NASA's in the house. Let me know if I need to turn it down or up.
It's Sunday, 19th of January.
Sean's here, yes.
And we are awaiting SpaceX's launch escape test in just under 17 minutes and 8 seconds.
Thank you, Matt
The
Miller.
test
Welcome
today
back, bud.
is to demonstrate the effectiveness of our launch escape system. Now we are currently go for launch from pad 39A at Kennedy Space Center at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks for joining us. I'm John Isbrecher, Falcon Principal Integration Engineer here at SpaceX headquarters
She
in
doesn't look
Hawthorne,
familiar.
California.
And I'm Marie Lewis with NASA Public
Hi, Marie.
Affairs. The purpose of today's test is to demonstrate Crew Dragon's ability to safely fly astronauts away from danger and separate from the Falcon 9 rocket during an in-flight emergency. Now, SpaceX's launch escape system is a first of its kind, with its 8 Super Draco thrusters built directly into Dragon to push the spacecraft away from Falcon 9 in case of an emergency. You can think of it as a rocket on top of a rocket.
Now, in order to test our launch escape system, which is integral to the Dragon spacecraft you see in front of you on the video, we will be simulating an emergency with Falcon 9 at about 84 seconds into flight. This could be a few seconds early or late, as Dragon waits for Falcon 9
cares?
to
It's
reach
not
a
rocket
specific
science.
velocity before initiating the escape. Now, before Dragon separates and fires its Super Draco engines, it will command Falcon 9 to shut down its engines as part of the escape sequence. Because Falcon 9 is then unpowered, we are expecting the launch vehicle to fully break up at some point, which should create some particularly interesting views.
For sure.
Now,
Little
it's not
Falcon
every day
pieces.
you get to see something like that, so we're going to do our best to bring it to you live as it happens. But a reminder, with the weather and the clouds, we're going to try to find the views that are best. And to be very clear, this is all part of today's test. Within the context of this test, the views that you will see will allow us to validate the effectiveness of our launch escape system.
And we're hoping for some very exciting views, but the whole point of the test today is the next step in our multi-year efforts to fly astronauts again from U.S. soil. It's part of NASA's Commercial Crew program, and it's a partnership we have with SpaceX and Boeing. But this is not the first time we are putting Dragon's launch escape system to the test. If you remember, back in 2015, SpaceX's pad abort test demonstrated Dragon's ability to escape
we know
from
all
the
about
Falcon
that now,
9
don't we?
in the event of an emergency on the pad before liftoff. And the Super Dracos in the launch escape system on today's Dragon capsule you see there were successfully static fired this past November.
And in addition to the test that you just mentioned, SpaceX also flew a full uncrewed demonstration mission to and from the International Space Station last year with its Crew Dragon vehicle. Now, this was a full end-to-end test of the entire Crew Dragon system, validating that our upgraded Crew Dragon spacecraft could safely dock with the space station. And in addition, our team has conducted over 700 tests on just the Super Draco system alone. Really looking forward to seeing those perform in today's flight.
Absolutely. And if all goes well today, the next big milestone will be to launch astronauts, as we mentioned, to the International Space Station. That's part of what we call Demo 2 or Demonstration Mission 2.
Now we're currently just inside of T-minus 13 minutes and 45 seconds and counting down. Now, weather's been a watch item the last couple of days with rough seas, sustained winds in the recovery area. We had to scrub yesterday. We're also still listening. They're evaluating constantly the weather in the splashdown area right now as we're doing the webcast. Now, we do have a 6-hour window today in case we need to wait for better weather or less cloud cover. We've obviously used 2.5 hours of it already, but right now we think this is our best opportunity.
Yeah.
Now, if the weather does not cooperate today, we are preserving tomorrow as a potential backup. Now, as a reminder again, this is not a typical launch. We're purposely testing Dragon's escape system under the most extreme conditions. So while we want everything to go right today, we are prepared if everything goes wrong.
They have to say that because
that
people will
does
be like,
happen,
oh, it
that's
exploded,
the whole
the
point.
rocket
This is
exploded.
exactly why we test. We want to
Tragedy.
see if there's any potential issues, and we want them to happen now so we can address those before we put astronauts on board. And speaking of astronauts, we have NASA's Daryl Nail at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. That's where the test is taking place this morning, and he has more about what those very first astronauts assigned to fly Crew Dragon will be paying special attention to this morning. Daryl?
Yeah, good morning, John and Marie. It's a pretty nice day
Hey,
here at the
Daryl.
Kennedy Space Center in Florida. You can see behind us here on the lawn, some of the media have gathered to shoot this launch. And of course, the countdown clock, the iconic one, they're counting 12 minutes until launch. As you mentioned, the first crew members assigned to fly Crew Dragon
Is that Tim
are
Dodd
NASA
way back
astronauts
there?
Doug Hurley and Bob Behnken. And they have the most, you could say, invested in the outcome of this test flight. Right now, they are just a few miles away from Launch Pad 39A, which is just behind my left shoulder here. They're in the SpaceX firing room inside the Launch Control Center, where they will closely monitor today's flight abort test. Now, right now, they've been training up until this point, training hard with
He's got
NASA and
4
SpaceX
hands.
so they can understand
Freaked
every
me out for a
aspect
minute.
of Dragon's systems, their spacesuits, and how to respond in a variety of potential emergency scenarios, including an escape from a Falcon 9 rocket in the middle of flight. The end result of that could be an early splashdown in the Atlantic Ocean. Now, both astronauts told us what they will specifically be looking for during today's test flight.
I think both of us are really excited that the in-flight abort test is about to happen.
All right, I'm going to keep this part out because I have some things to say because some of you are doing some things. All right, man on the internet, super chat, thank you for the third monitor fun. Yes, third monitor fun, rattling my 10 cup. Here we go. Thank you, bud. We got another eccentric member, disabled park hopper. Okay, thanks, buddy. That's cool, man. And also some of you on Discord. Ryan Bray, the cake is legit. Also getting a little scruffy there, Kev. I know. I need to shave my head also. It's getting really long up here. I'm starting to look like a homeless pedophile. Gator TPK. I'm here at the Space Coast in person. I hope for a great sight. Oh, man, I'm jelly. I'm going to Demo 2, though, for show. Also, Gucci Pilot. The dogs are good. I locked them out because they're being awfully mouthy this morning. And Cairo threw up. I managed to get him outside before he did it. Don't know what his deal is. Fremen, I like to welcome Cool Gamer Guy to the admin community. Cool. Sweet. Keep it going. We got another super chat really quick. Curtis Ruddock, fan with his peach pear thing. Look, there's the pad abort test again. Some of the members are posting as well. I'm looking for those bars. So many Falcon pieces. That's what we're going to look for. They should take a big net from Go Tree or Go Chief and try to catch some of those pieces and maybe make jewelry out of it and sell it. That'd be sweet. I'd buy. Yeah, this dude right here looks like Tim Dodd's father. I don't know. I've never met Tim's father. I'm sure he's a great guy, though. All right, let me get back to this.
Who have spent a lot of time together over the years. Both graduated from the same astronaut training class in 2000. Both flew on the space shuttle. Both are married to astronauts, and they were in each other's wedding. John and Marie, back to you.
They're pretty close.
All right, thanks, Daryl. You're taking a live look now. This is inside SpaceX's firing room 4. That's where Bob and Doug are sitting today, along with the
I would
NASA
love to
and
be there right
SpaceX
now.
teams following along today's test. And this past Friday, they completed what we refer to internally as a dry dress rehearsal. We saw some video of that during Daryl's segment. This is where the astronauts, along with the SpaceX and NASA teams, walk through those steps.
There's Jim Bridenstine right here.
Before they get on board for
NASA
demo 2. We
administrator.
saw them suit up, and that is really
I don't see
exciting
Bob
stuff.
and Doug,
especially,
though.
that was the first time we saw them suited up, walking out of the astronaut suit-up room, and so really looking forward to doing
Elon's
that,
on
for
site.
demo 2.
I'm not
Let's
sure
take
where
a quick
he's
look
at.
now at Crew Dragon. It stands almost 27 feet tall from the bottom of the trunk to the top of the nose cone. And Crew Dragon is composed of 2 main elements. The capsule, that top portion, is designed to hold crew and pressurized cargo, and it has an unpressurized section known as the trunk that's down below. For today's test, much of the exciting work is going to be done by the Dragon's 8 Super Draco engines we talked about, built directly into the capsule.
Those pesky engines
Now, to give you a
causing
sense of
so much
power,
headache.
when fired together, the 8 Super Dracos can move the spacecraft a half a mile in 7.5 seconds. So from a standing start, the Super Dracos accelerate the spacecraft to a speed of 436 miles per hour. That's a lot faster than a catapult launch from an aircraft carrier.
I know.
That's
it's
right,
hard
John.
To imagine just moving that fast. I was trying to get a feel for it, so I did a little math, and it's about 3 times faster than takeoff on a commercial plane, if you can
No, the
imagine
wife's
that.
asleep.
In fact, one
Like a normal
jetpack
person.
assembly, which
Well,
consists of
it's
2
almost
Super
10:30. It's not
Dracos,
normal to be in bed
produces
that
more
long.
thrust
She works a
than
lot
an
during the week.
F-16 fighter jet at full afterburn. So, John, if you were to put that, strap that to your back, you would break the sound barrier in under half a second. Not sure you'd want to volunteer for that.
I'd probably break something else too. So that gets us through the major test objective today, Dragon separating from the Falcon. Several minutes later, we will deploy drogue parachutes, followed by the 4 large main parachutes. You'll see the main parachutes partially open at first if we've got video, then fully open. These will then control the descent of the Dragon capsule softly into the Atlantic Ocean.
And while that vehicle that you see on the pad looks like a typical Crew Dragon spacecraft from the outside, if you had a look inside, you'll see that the interiors have been stripped down, and there it is. We do have a look inside for you. The cabin has no interior panels except
Thank you,
for
Tim
one on the
Anderson.
ceiling,
Wherever
and
you
there's
go,
no control
there you
panel
are.
in there for this test. Dragon's also
Fact.
outfitted with 2 seats that you see there, and sitting inside those seats, we have
2
2
dummies.
anthropomorphic test devices.
What, no cool acronym?
That
I'll
answers
just
your
call them
question,
test
Shogun
devices.
We
Baker.
have enough acronyms, John.
While the test devices do
Yeah,
not
these would
have
be
any
Mark III
sensors on them
parachutes.
today, the seats they're sitting on are instrumented. We'll be able to measure the loads on the seat to ensure that there are no unexpected issues in this stressing test case. We've also made some other modifications to the Dragon interior for today's test.
That's right. There will be 3 cargo racks with some assortment of ballast or cargo bags and no floor. Now, below where the floor would be, there will be an assortment of mass simulators in place of the life support components and some other equipment that's down there when we have crew aboard.
Mass
Now the
simulators,
test today
fancy
will
talk
look a
for
lot
concrete
like a
blocks.
normal Falcon launch for the first minute and a half. We'll fly until Falcon 9 reaches a predetermined velocity. This will occur about 84 seconds into flight, and that happens at approximately 20 kilometers up. Once we reach the required velocity, Dragon will then trigger an escape. Now, as a reminder, the ground is not commanding this abort. It's up
Payphone
to
bone,
the onboard
you're
computers to
breathtaking.
determine when to trigger the launch escape
Thanks,
and do
bud.
all the functions afterward. Once Dragon does trigger the launch escape, the first event will be commanding Falcon 9 to shut down its 9 Merlin engines. Now, as Marie and I mentioned earlier, Dragon will then separate.
I wish I
from
could
the
make
Falcon
animations like
using
this.
its 8 Super Draco engines,
my
firing
dream.
for about 8 seconds. That carries Dragon capsule with the trunk up and away from Falcon. Now, once they finish firing the Super Dracos, we coast, we jettison the trunk at apogee, we reorient the capsule to come back for entry into the Earth's atmosphere. We deploy about 2 minutes after apogee the drogue chutes, and about a minute after that, the 4 main parachutes.
Now that's
will be
interesting. I didn't
released.
know they were going to use
Dragon will
ACS to
then
reorient
splash down
the
softly
capsule
in the
after
Atlantic
separation.
Ocean, about
I
35
thought just
kilometers
aerodynamics
offshore.
weight would do it.
Now,
you know?
when Dragon separates, we no
Like
longer
the
have
pad
that
abort.
smooth aerodynamic shape on top of the rocket. So the supersonic Falcon is going to be exposed to strong aerodynamic forces in the upper atmosphere. So we expect those aerodynamic forces will cause Falcon to start to tumble. Our simulations show that the Falcon will likely break apart.
Carrie
due to the
Turner, you
tumble,
have a course I can
instead
hook me
of
up with.
having the
I'm going to try
destruct
out
system
skill
trigger
shares, and they
and
have some as well.
destroying the rocket. So now again, this entire test will take less than 10 minutes from the time Falcon 9 lifts off until Dragon splashes down. But Marie, once we splash down, the work's not over yet.
Right, it's just beginning for the recovery team. We have a lot of things happening very rapidly in that first 10 minutes, and the recovery operation takes quite a bit longer. It'll be similar to the pad abort test, but it will happen slightly farther down range in the Atlantic Ocean. So after splashdown, recovery teams will already be standing by for range approval to enter and clear that hazardous area. And if all goes nominally, SpaceX could have fully recovered Dragon back onto its recovery ship approximately 2 hours after splashdown. Keep in mind, though, if this were to happen during an actual flight with crew on board, rescuing them would be the #1 objective, of course, and recovering Dragon would be a secondary operation.
Dummy lives
so
don't
if that were
matter.
to happen, an elite military rescue team would deploy at a moment's notice. They're part of the U.S. Air Force's Detachment 3, or they have this really great nickname, the Guardian Angels, which is
Really?
very appropriate. They would jump from military aircraft. There's a photo of that
They used to
happening
use
there,
SEALs
where they
back
would
in the
deploy their
Apollo
own
days, or
parachutes to
UDT.
gently reach the water, and from there they would help the crew out of the capsule and then onto a life raft to wait for a larger ship. Now, this is not just any life raft. It has a cover that they can put over the top to protect them from the elements, and it's also equipped with food, water, and medical supplies, enough to last for days if needed. This would be, of course, a worst-case scenario. It's one that we don't expect to happen. But of course, what do we do when we're preparing to fly crew? We always plan for the worst. So this is something that NASA, SpaceX, and the Department of Defense have rehearsed together over and over so that we're ready for anything.
You dummy.
And
You
the
dummy.
SpaceX recovery team is also keeping an eye out for Falcon 9. As we mentioned earlier, Falcon 9 is expected to break up over the water. And we've got a dedicated team of SpaceX recovery personnel who will be staged and ready to begin recovering debris shortly after breakup. Well, the clock's kicking down rapidly. We're just over
Don't pollute now.
2 minutes and 14
Think of the
seconds from
fishies.
liftoff. You've seen the crew access arm. It's back. That was retracted away from Dragon at T-minus 42 minutes. A few minutes after that, Dragon
Beautiful.
launch escape system was armed just before we began loading propellant onto the Falcon 9. So if an unplanned situation arose right now, Dragon would perform an escape. Now currently the engines are chilled in for launch on the Falcon. The Dragon spacecraft is waiting for liftoff.
Oh, I'm
We
excited.
have retracted, and you can see in
Breathe.
the video the strongback is moved
Sucked if I
away
passed
just
out and
about
missed
2
it.
degrees in readiness for liftoff. We have also finished
look like
loading
there's any
liquid oxygen
Dracos
onto
there.
both the stages, so the Falcon 9
They're
is just
covered by
about
a
ready.
flap.
The large white cloud you
Forget
see
the
coming
technical
off
name
of the
for it.
side, we're venting down the pressure from the liquid oxygen supply lines in the strongback in preparation for launch. The last event you're going to
Smoking.
hear, start up at 1 minute when the
Smoking.
computers take over and the launch director go at 30 seconds.
And we're coming right up on that in about 15 seconds now. We'll be just a minute from liftoff. And Falcon 9 is, as you just heard,
Chris
moving
Kidd.
into those final stages of the final countdown.
No deuce in
for
the urinal,
in-flight
guy.
abort test today. So far, weather's looking okay.
Rule
We're
number
hoping
one.
It's going to continue to cooperate, and the range is green for launch. Now, if for some reason we scrub today, we will shift to our backup launch window, which is
Please
tomorrow
don't. It
at
doesn't
the
look
same
that
time.
cloudy.
Again, this is just a
Oh,
test. We're
that
fully
would suck,
expecting
though, if we don't
Falcon
get to
9
see
to
it.
break up, so don't be alarmed if you see that happening live. And with that, let's listen in now. We're just 45 seconds from the final countdown.
All right, so Dragon will have 4 parachutes, Mark III, but that 4th one's only for, backup purposes. If 3 deploy, it's still a success. They'll still live. The dummies will still live, even though they're already dead. Is something dead if it was never alive? You guys are throwing riddles at me today. There's one for you. The answer is nay. What else? Oh, and to answer your question on Discord
Minus 15 seconds.
about them having payload on board, they should have had a plush toy. I agree. They should have had
10,
a plush
9,
toy of Elon's
8,
face. That would have been hilarious.
6,
Would have sold a lot of
5,
those too. Come on, here we
4,
go.
3,
Come on.
2, 1.
I kind of hope it
0.
breaks apart,
Ignition,
like
lift
before
off.
it.
Simplify, aim high.
Oh,
Go Falcon, go Dragon.
yes. We're doing it. Here we go. Lab Padres in the house. Let's keep that view. Here we go. Come on, baby. Like another 20 seconds.
T plus 30 seconds. Falcon 9 with the Crew Dragon capsule is heading east from pad 39A. Everything looking good right now.
Pan out a little
As we
bit.
get ready for max dynamic pressure, we are now throttling down the first stage engines on the Falcon
power
9.
and telemetry nominal.
I hope the booster explodes right now and it just escapes like the little Joe Rocket. That'd
Everything
be sweet.
continues to look good. We're approaching the period of maximum dynamic pressure.
Vehicle is supersonic
Oh,
and
come on,
passing through maximum dynamic pressure.
Stupid
Heard
clouds.
we're supersonic. We're through max Q. We're getting ready now to throttle the engines back up on the first stage.
Stage 1, throttle up.
There's the call out. Okay, the major activity coming up in just
Pan
over
out,
10
jerk.
seconds. Shutdown and Dragon escape from the Falcon 9.
You can hear them. There we go. There we go. That's what we want to see. Yeah, baby, go.
Launch escape initiated.
Wow, the booster's still holding it together for now. Wow. They build them. They
And
build
you
them
can hear
strong.
some really cheering in the
Ooh!
room. Okay,
There
we
she
just saw,
goes.
bright
That might have been a
flash there. It looks
deliberate.
like that may be
Falcon 9.
Falcon 9 breaking up.
That might have been a
We've got some
deliberate.
loud cheers
explosion
here in
there.
Hawthorne. The folks that just watched live the Dragon separate. The next milestone we have coming up at 2 minutes 25 seconds.
I wonder if they self-destructed
we're
it. That was
expecting to
pretty
see
quick.
the
I don't
trunk
know.
Jettison.
I thought it
So
would break
that claw
apart
that
more.
connects the trunk to the capsule is going to separate, allowing Dragon to separate from the trunk. That's coming up in 15 seconds.
That was sweet, dude. I'm glad they switched that camera
And
angle
we
there
do
at the
have
last
report.
minute.
Loss of telemetry from Falcon 9. First stage.
It's dead. Wow, look at that. You can see the curve of the other and everything. There she goes. Flip it around.
And there you just saw the trunk jettison again. Some really
go.
loud cheers here in Hawthorne, California. This test is looking great so far.
Nice
awesome.
view from
Everything's
the back of the
nominal.
Dragon capsule. We're also trying to see if we get the view there on the right-hand side from the aircraft that's orbiting the area. Now the Dragon control system is now going to be reorienting the capsule. We're at a high altitude where the aerodynamics are negligible. So we're going to use the small Draco thrusters on the Dragon capsule to reorient it. That gets it in a position with a heat shield down to re-enter the Earth's atmosphere, and then later to deploy the drogue parachutes.
Now those drogue chutes, we expect to get confirmation that those have deployed at T plus 4 minutes and 48 seconds. So we've got just a little bit of breathing room before we hear that happen.
Time for some parachute porn, people.
Those parachutes are protected during ascent, on orbit, and re-entry by a panel that's up near the nose cone of the capsule.
Dude,
So
I
we're
can't
gonna
believe that
jettison the
booster
panel,
just
then the
combusted
mortars
like
will
that.
fire to
I expected
deploy
it to
those
break
two
apart
drogue
more.
chutes. Again, that's coming up in just over a minute.
That's
at
why I'm
T
thinking
plus
they
4 minutes
detonated it,
and
but I don't know if
48
that's the case.
seconds. Now those drogue chutes, when we see
Come on,
those
camera
come
guy.
out, those will open.
You're gonna make
and
us
those
miss
will
the
come out
parachutes.
before the main parachutes. Those drogue parachutes are what we use to begin to decelerate the Dragon capsule in preparation for splashdown.
Here we go. It's got to be so hard to do.
We understand we're getting into the drogue deploy envelope on the Dragon capsule.
We expect that will happen when Dragon is at about 20,000 feet.
If any mods are on, apparently there's some trolls you can get rid of. That's fine.
About 15 seconds to drogue chute deploy.
Oh, there goes the
And
top
there they
hatch.
are. Drogue chutes are out.
Lovely.
Again, some major cheering going on here as every stage of this test unfolds. Now we're going to
This
be
is
getting
great.
ready for the main chutes to deploy.
Now,
do the demo
chutes will
2 in
be coming up
February.
fairly quickly. There are 4 main parachutes. These are the newest Mark III parachutes. They're each 116 feet in diameter. We deploy them about 2 kilometers above sea level, 6,500 feet above the Atlantic Ocean. We're getting good views from the Dragon and the airplane, showing the 2 drogue chutes. Now we're just waiting for the main parachutes to be deployed very shortly.
The drogue chutes just slow the capsule down and orient it so it's facing the right
And we
way,
have the view
so it doesn't shred
from
the
a different
main
camera on
chutes.
Dragon showing the 4 main parachutes.
And they reef them like
now
that.
they are deployed in a reefed condition. That
So they
means
don't
we're
open up
keeping
too
them
quickly.
fairly shut to avoid shocks, and now we're slowly opening up the 4 parachutes. Great views coming off of the Dragon camera on the left, and we can also see the 4 parachutes from the airplane on the right.
See, that's how it's done, Boeing.
That is a really cool
Oh, 4
Nice view of the
parachutes.
orange and white parachutes as they're opening up into the 2nd position, and then going to fully open. From fully open, we'll be descending about 20 to 25 feet per second down to the Atlantic. So from that 6,500 foot altitude, it's going to take us a few minutes to splash down. Also right now that the mains are out, a sequence is performed on the Dragon, which will reorient the crew seats into a splashdown position, give them a little better
that's
angle
cool.
to take the slow bounce as we hit the ocean. Now, Maria, I talked about the parachutes came out initially at a reef condition. That's fairly standard. They come out not fully open. That way they're minimizing the shock on the parachutes. We're also minimizing the shock on the capsule. Again, we want to give a smooth ride to the crew as they are coming back through the Earth's atmosphere.
Right.
Now, the parachutes are located behind a door that's at the bottom of the capsule. It's below the crew hatch.
And they
So
run the
Dragon
lines
commands the door to release,
the side
and
of
as
the
you saw in
capsule,
the video, the
and they
drogue
cover it
parachutes
with
pull the door away,
some
and
weird
that pulls
substance,
the
I can't
4
remember.
main parachutes out. Now, these are the new Mark III parachutes. We've completed here at SpaceX over 80 tests of that parachute system, including 10 multi-parachute tests of this particular upgraded parachute design over the last few months to demonstrate that the design is ready for flight.
And we're just inside 2 minutes of when we expect to see splashdown. The recovery teams are already out there in the Atlantic Ocean standing by, ready with fast boats to begin their initial approach to Dragon. Again, we mentioned this before, but the recovery operation we expect to take a couple of hours.
All right, Kai
I've heard a call
Akin.
out, we're below 500
Guess they had to destroy the
meters.
booster because it showed no will to break.
And we
Yeah, it showed no
expect
will to
when
break
Dragon
apart. Yep.
splashes down, it's going to be roughly 32 kilometers offshore.
So yeah, reef parachutes. So they run a line around the tips of the parachutes and hold them together in like that
Again,
small
we're
hole,
looking at
so
a
not
live
enough
view
air can
so
get into
far.
it.
All things
And
have
then-
appeared to go nominal for this
one sec.
test. All things looking great so far. We saw the 4 main parachutes deploy. You're looking at them now, fully open, and we are coming up on about a minute until splashdown.
Yeah, so the way that most companies do it is to reef parachutes, they run a line through the tips of the parachute that hold the
I think
tips
we may have
together
heard a
or the
call out of
openings,
100 meters to go.
and then they cut that
Yeah, I just
wire,
heard that
and that
too.
allows them to unravel, and spread apart like they do and allow more air to get trapped, slowing the capsule down even more. And they do that so they don't rip the parachutes apart from all the pressure. If you've ever been skydiving and you
Now those 4 parachutes are
base
actually going
jump,
to be released from
you have
the
a parachute that
capsule
opens a lot
after
quicker,
splashdown,
and
they'll
it
be
really jerks
recovered
you, and it
too.
can damage the parachute.
And we are down.
There we
Down
go.
A bit early, in fact.
Great success, from what we know.
And
But
there
I don't
you
know
can
how
see
that
the
could have
recovery
not gone
boat
perfectly.
beginning to approach instantly.
Go
I'm
get
gonna
'em.
try to talk a little bit louder so you can hear me over the folks here. This has been a really exciting thing to see.
The cameraman's
because,
shaking from all the
we had
adrenaline.
the weather. We weren't really sure if the weather was going to cooperate. We were trying to weigh, is it favorable for launch, but also is it favorable for recovery, because they really have to watch the height of those waves in order to do this operation. That fast boat is just off screen now, but there's 4 fast boats out there in the area to begin, again, that initial approach to Dragon. The recovery operation from here takes about 2 hours, but all in all, this looked like a really great test.
Yeah, a lot of fun watching the Dragon come down. We had great views from the onboard camera in particular. Now I think this camera is from our Go Searcher recovery ship, which is also the tender for the fast boats. You saw one of them headed out there. And you can also see it looks still a little choppy, so you understand we were kind of on the edge of the weather conditions out in the splashdown area.
I'm so happy they did it.
But they assessed
Don't have to wake up again
the
on a
boat
Monday
data,
morning.
the buoy data, looked at the forecast and said we were go. And while we took 2.5 hours to get here, we finally got here and it was great.
I agree, great
And
potato.
that's the summary
I
for
agree.
today.
Great
It
explosion.
looks like right now a great test. Visually, everything happened. Falcon 9, you saw the liftoff. We had kind of a long view from the camera. Dragon did shut down the 9 Merlin 1D engines and separate. We did see the flash as the Falcon 9 came apart, as predicted.
Came
no
apart
surprise there.
/ forced
Dragon,
apart.
we saw a great view as it got
They
to
built it
apogee.
so
It
well.
deployed the trunk, separating it, reoriented. Then the drogue chutes came out, the main chutes came out, and then we just waited for that nice soft splashdown in the Atlantic Ocean.
And we saw, and it looks like we just lost the view from out there on the ship, but you couldn't really see much from that particular angle. Again, that recovery operation is going to take a couple of hours, so we're not going to stay on the air for the duration of that. But we are going to be back for a news conference coming up at 11:30 Eastern time this morning. That would be, let me do the math real quick, 8:30 Pacific time. We're going to hear from NASA and SpaceX leaders about their initial thoughts on this test that you just saw. Of course, everything looked fantastic, but there's going to be a lot of data to dig into. They're going to also collect those parachutes, get a lot of data from that, and then see what the next steps are on the path to Demo 2, when, of course, we're going to be launching NASA astronauts Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley. So stay tuned for that news conference. It will be carried live on NASA TV. If you're watching on the web, just tune to nasa.gov/live so you can see that coverage. Again, that's 8:30 Pacific time, 11:30 Eastern. Thanks so much for joining us for this morning's test.
Thank you, John and lady. Sorry, can't remember your name. All right, let's debrief this a little bit here, guys. Let me shut this down. I'm shutting it down. Okay. Couple questions I'm getting really quick. And let me bring the chat over so it's in a better view. There we go. Thank you for all the super chats, guys, and the new members. So, yes, the drone chutes do reorient the capsule. They also slow it down a little bit so when the mains deploy, it doesn't break them apart. Do you know if they reuse the chutes? I got this question from Ernest last week, and I did learn that they did from time to time refurbish the chutes for the space shuttle boosters that they recovered, but that wasn't every time. So that tells me, and this isn't definitive, but I don't think they reuse the Mark III parachutes for any human-rated capsule. They would just start from scratch. It'd be too risky. That's my professional opinion. Matt, could they use Starlink for better quality video? Yes, and I think if my memory serves me right, which it hardly ever does, Elon did say in recent history that they would do that. They would use Starlink. Not only for that, but to also help video like trips to the moon and Mars. So what do you guys think? I think they built that Falcon booster, which I think this was its second or third flight. They built it really well because that thing didn't want to break apart, and I think someone hit that self-destruct button. But I mean, that information will come out in the days, maybe even during the press conference at 11:30. I don't know. What do you guys think? That would be my guess. Hi, HIF1 Alpha. Nice to see you back. Thanks for the stream, Kevin. This was such an exciting event. Wasn't it cool? It was so cool. I quite enjoyed it. Yes, Carrie Turner, it was awesome. Thank you for the stream, Kev. Another great broadcast. Thank you for joining us, Disabled Park Hopper. I'm glad you could make it, considering you're disabled. Gucci Pilot, self-destruct was still awesome. Oh, dude, it was awesome. Such a shocking and explosive surprise. And then, yeah, the drogue chutes came out nice and clean. 4 parachutes deployed. No excuses are going to have to be made for SpaceX. I love you, Boeing. Actually, no, I don't love you, Boeing. Fun fact, was 7 or 8, six years, a handful of years ago, I had an opportunity to work with Boeing as executive protection. I was in talks with them to join them for that, but then it all fell through. This is back when the economy still kind of sucked, and they were actually letting people go. I was actually kind of surprised they were even considering hiring me, since they were letting people go, but it ended up not working out. So you know what? Screw you, Boeing. No. I did meet with a vice president of engineering at the time, I think it was, for Boeing. He was a really nice guy. Dude, yeah. Did I yell boom at the computer? I think I may have. That was sweet. B1046, name of the booster, fourth flight. Fourth flight. Okay. First of the 5 to launch. Okay. I thought it was a few flights. It's so hard to remember all these little nitty gritty details. So yeah, man, I've been looking forward to that for no less than 3 years. No less. Maybe even 4. It's 2020 now, right? Maybe even like 4 or 5 years. Ever since the pad abort, I was like, they need to do an in-flight abort. And the thing is, they don't have to, because Boeing's not doing one. But, it's SpaceX. They're like, yeah, we're going to do it. It's freaking sweet, dude. So, yeah. I can't really, dig at Boeing too much. They've accomplished way more than I have, including blowing up airplanes. Oh, I'm sorry. That was below the belt. Carry, occupy Venus. I'd rather occupy Uranus. I'm sorry, Uranus. The politically correct way to say the name. Hello, sorry I'm late. It's all right. That's why God invented the rewind button. Am I right? Okay, you guys. Well, sorry, I got a super chat from Adam Scott. Let me see if I can scroll up and find it, bro. Because the other thing's not working. Thank you for the great content and updates all the time. Best of luck, brah. Best of luck to you, man. I hope you guys enjoyed your weekend. So sad that it's almost over. All right. But you know what? It won't be the last. All right. I'm a glasses half full kind of guy. So the conference that NASA's going to put on with SpaceX is at 11:30 Eastern. Is that what they said? Something like that. It will be on nasa.gov/live. That's where you need to look for it. I'll probably just watch it on my phone while I play with the doggos. Okay. Thank you, Apatalks. Thanks for modding. Thank you, mods, for modding today. I appreciate it. You guys are a lifesaver because, man, you guys are super chatty and I love it. I just can't keep up sometimes. Love it. God bless all of you. I got to set up my outro. Here we go. Go enjoy your Sundays. Go get to church, you bunch of heathens. Godspeed to you guys.